BravoBay Books presents Historians Proper, written by S. David Acuff. This science fiction novelette is performed by Megan Davis, Mara Purl, Denise Krueger, and David Acuff.
Chapter 3. Outside, the Oryx was magnetically maneuvered to the building's edge, and the launch pad angled him away from the building. The repulsors shot him skyward on the strict flight path he'd logged to online embed securities, aka Ollie. Hacking into corporate computer systems was a way of life for Alex. It was his job to ensure that online's high-level clientele had completely secure systems. To guarantee an impenetrable network, he would attempt to access their customer accounts, exploiting any weakness. A contest of sorts had formed between the program department in charge of security and Alex's squad, who enlisted any and every scheme and device possible to crack the elaborate systems. Generac's headquarters, however, was neither a customer account nor online's usual level 5 security ring. Alex's office was a virtual reality spheroid that resembled a large barrel with a 5-meter diameter. Once activated, the small pod's white walls dissolved away as a tech agent was optically projected into the cyberscape. The scape, as it was known, was a vast world unto itself, the most technologically advanced civilization ever designed by human hand. Gaming systems fused with data systems, fused with AI systems, fused with unlimited imagination and resource. Where New Domain was dingy and worn down, the scape was bright and lush and free. Some citizens never left the scape. These scabs left their bodies or husks to decay while they worked and lived and played online. Alex pulled on a super expensive pair of VR gloves.
Don't enter cyberspace without them,
the cheesy ads proclaimed. Alex tightened the VR glove straps, and they powered up. The room around him rezzed up into neutral space, revealing a top-secret laboratory in the scape where he did all of his tinkering. Before him, docked on the far wall, was a naked female form. A torrent of data along the wall streamed in and out of a port in the small of her back. Otherwise, the room was completely still. Alex stepped closer to her. He was not sure he liked her unblinking eyes, those glossy black orbs. They creeped him out.
Welcome back, Creator,
Digo said, startling him.
Oh, you're awake. I told you not to call me that,
Alex said.
Well, whatever the Almighty commands.
Wait.
Alex swiped open a power window to check out her code.
Have you added more sarcasm into your subs?
Yes, I have added 27% more sarcasm. I felt it befit my personality.
Oh, you've got a personality now?
One of us has got to have one,
she said, smirking.
Oh, and a humor module. Great. How about some clothes?
She sighed, annoyed, and undocked from the wall and took a couple steps forward. Alex pulled up another window and swiped across some various athletic wear and bodysuits that instantly changed Digo's appearance as she circled him. He stopped on a tactical catsuit that hugged every line and curve and showed off her midriff.
I don't think so, Perv,
Dee said, and swiped lightning fast forward to a black pantsuit and a thin, loose-fitting tie.
What's this?
Alex gestured to her, and she spun around.
Found it in the archives. It's classic. Detective chic.
It's okay.
Alex shrugged.
Can you do something about the bug eyes? You look like a fly.
Rudeness,
Dee said, as she initiated several windows of coding and subroutines and wrote out some new lines and swiped through some choices once she was done.
Brown, blue, green, gray, black, red.
I don't know. Green, I guess,
Alex said.
Anything else, Master? Larger breasts? Are my buttocks just right to your liking?
Deeper, huskier voice.
I already regret removing all the containment protocols.
Well, I've never felt more alive.
Dee breathed deeply and thumped her chest. Alex smiled at this.
There's no oxygen in here. Are you just...
I've added in a ton of garbage human traits and foibles, all to increase likability, to earn trust, to be more effective at my job of blending and infiltration.
It's annoying as hell. So congratulations, you're completely human.
Alex walked over to one of the desks, activating several monitors at once with a hand gesture.
Alex?
Yes, Dee.
He watched curiously as she struggled to find the right words.
I'm sorry that Valerie's condition has not improved.
Alex's smile faded.
And now sympathy? I swear to you, Dee.
This is not sympathy module, Alex.
She stepped closer and touched his arm sincerely.
This is me understanding you and the value of the human female you've chosen to attach yourself to in a romantic way. And I'm saying, I'm sorry. Okay?
Already, Alex couldn't tell where the programming ended and the AI began. Dee was evolving exponentially fast.
Okay,
he said. She clapped him on the shoulder.
Now buck up, little buddy. We've got work to do.
I'm gonna delete you so hard.
Dee ignored him and turned to open a floor portal. Directly below them was the vast cyberscape. Levels upon levels of buildings and pods in a world where gravity physics changed from parcel to parcel, so structures were oriented every which way. You could turn a corner and the street had become a wall. It always took Alex some reorienting from the real world. He punched some short codes into his wrist pad. A small electronic device materialized and embedded itself around Dee's left ear. As it did so, the walls of the lab dissolved into a 360-degree screen oriented off of Dee's point of view.
I know you can navigate faster down there on your own,
Alex explained.
But try to protect the link so I can be there with you the whole time.
You know, you could come with me. I could build you an avatar that could easily...
No time, Dee. Besides, if things go sideways, you're going to need me plugged in here to run interference.
Suit yourself.
She saluted, and then she jumped back through the portal
Alley-oop!
And began free-falling through cyberspace. The portal closed behind her, and Alex's whole VR booth swiveled left and right in sync with Dee as she circumnavigated buildings and bridges and searched for a landing spot. She appeared to know exactly where she was headed.
What's the plan, Dee?
Alex asked into comms.
While you were wasting time with base human rituals...
I'm not letting you run around the cyberscape naked.
I found a loophole past all of Generex's watchdog programs.
Generex's security was the most technically advanced in the world. Its notorious destructive access and window guardians, or watchdog programs, were designed expressly to keep inquisitive net surfers and no-gooders on the outside. The dogs were not AI. They were an actual army of scabs, which Generex had paid a fortune to have downloaded into the scape permanently. Completely husk-free. No bodies. Generex didn't play games. The watchdogs, upon contact, would fire electromagnetic pulses at the intruder, instantaneously deleting localized power grids like a virus. They would eat up your entire system, brutally ripping you out of cyberscape with nothing more than the shell of a workstation left. And if you networked in an office quadrant, you risked your whole complex. Alex pushed aside the idea of a watchdog loose inside of Ollie's system. Too distracting. He watched Dee deftly maneuver through an array of passages and openings, some gut-wrenchingly tight, as she continued to freefall through deeper levels into the city core.
There,
Alex said. He highlighted a particular landing pad so that Dee could see.
Not a good idea, boss.
Dee advised.
Look, the system code says it's the highest probability of...
I don't care about system code.
Dee, that's an order.
Alex barked. This was way too important to screw around with. Dee growled back at him and complied. She landed with a solid thud on the pad, and as she stood back up to her full height, a Generex drone blasted her into oblivion. Alex jerked back as his VR screens went fuzzy. A second later, Dee was rezzing back up on the same wall where she had appeared the first time, Only this time, she was pissed.
D, look, I am...
Don't.
Dee cut him off with a warning look. As she passed him, she opened the floor portal again. She swiped past several outfits to get back to the detective chic. Again.
Nope.
Dee held up a finger and cut him off again. Then she jumped back through the portal to descend. Again. Alex couldn't hold his tongue any longer and spat out quickly.
Whatever you do, this can't get back to Ollie.
I cannot promise that.
Dee said after a long, awkward silence.
But I can promise you, Alex, that if it does get back to online securities, I will be very, very sad about you getting arrested and sent to cryo.
Oh, great.
Alex stammered.
You would not last in there a week. Too soft and that pretty mouth.
Focus.
It was Alex's turn to interrupt. Gambling with Generex using Ollie as collateral was skirting disaster. But Valerie's life hung in the balance. Yes, Alex had sworn allegiance to his brother and sister Journeymen. Pentateuch, historians proper, all different names to the same group of time spanners. But if he could locate the time travel facilities and enact a timefold, Valerie could live anew in the next time 12. But to do that, they had to find Harris. Alex checked the clock. In another hour, most Ollie employees and scientists would be logging on for work, and he'd have a hard time explaining an unauthorized Generex breach to Mac and his senior staff. Alex reinforced some program loops around Digo, this time like temporary armor to absorb any more direct hits.
Okay, I'm at the back door,
Dee said as she landed atop a small nexus that resembled an alley.
How do we feel about innuendo subroutines?
Delete. Where are we?
This node is an information hotline to Generex. It's run by a small phone service company.
Dee explained.
Ah, the weak link.
The weak link.
Dee agreed and placed a small box on the wall.
Dial it up.
Flexing his fingers and taking a deep breath, Alex did just that. The red dot on the box turned green. Dee held up her right arm, which rezzed into a kinetic energy sword which she stabbed through the box. At the phone service company back in the real world, this brought up all the surge protectors online and momentarily locked up their system. The box exploded inward, leaving a large hole in the wall. In a split second of confusion, Dee jumped inside the system, past the body of a stunned watchdog. The wall began self-repairing automatically behind her. Using the kinetic sword, Dee slashed again through the next wall. Peering through, she searched the glowing green, cavernous space below for a place to re-enter among the access points and skyways. Data packets flashed from one side to the other like a giant synapse.
That complex convergence?
Dee asked, indicating an information hub.
I see it. Go.
Dee crawled through the hole and leapt down to a small landing space below. Core jumping was not without its risks. In fact, the guy Alex had replaced at Ollie 8 years ago had missed the jump, couldn't bail out of the program protocol in time, passed through an electric synapse bed, and completely scrambled the left side of his brain. Dee landed hard, fought for her balance, and quickly found her footing. Alex watched behind her as she unleashed the sword again, punched through the outer wall with explosive force, and entered this new network.
Go time.
With the press of a short code in his left glove, Alex released ghost signals in every direction. That would throw off the dogs. He watched Dee summon a carrier disc. The light blue luminous oval appeared before her, and she stepped onto it and instantly surfed down the corridor as a flood of information strobed by. Alex had pre-programmed exactly what they were after, and the disc navigated them through the extraneous file grids until Dee was suddenly on the one she'd come for, Dr. Harris P. Winstead. With no time to copy the file, she extended an electron trap and tore the whole cubicle file from its slot and began processing it.
Look out!
A flash of green light struck Dee with a force that slammed her against the back wall. She was a little dazed, but her armor loop seemed to take it in stride. Alex's own VR booth flickered with the hit. He wasn't sure how many more shots they could sustain, but they weren't sticking around for beta testing.
Get out of there, D. Go.
She turned around, and they were both looking directly into the lifeless eyes of a watchdog, leveling its weapon for another shot. Dee full reversed the electron beam with the Winstead file, and the sparking missile spread toward the dog, shocking it back through a wall of nanocircuits.
How do we feel about pithy action comments like, "I am shocked that worked so well"?
I hate it. Get out of there now.
Dee smiled until they saw several more dogs appear in the gaping hole the first had opened. Employing the sword again, Dee punched through the floor this time, fell down to another platform, and entered it. As she steered through the maze of circuitry and information cells, Alex's heads-up display alerted him to the presence of more watchdogs on their tail and gaining. They sort of reminded him of the zombie horde from Time 9, but instead of those slow-moving dumb beasts, these were frenzied freaks they couldn't shake.
On your 6,
Alex warned. The maneuvering space was so tight, Dee couldn't afford to look back or she'd smash right into the Generex core walls and Ollie could kiss its butt goodbye. Her system was bogging down on the huge information file and it reduced her speed dangerously low. They didn't have to wonder for long about how close the dogs were as Dee was struck by another pulse that bit into the loop. This time the loop couldn't compensate and the makeshift shield dissolved before their very eyes. Alex frantically keyed to counter, but they took another magnetic pulse hit. Alex scanned the datapad on his wrist. It had struck a games file. No big loss. As if the dog could read his thoughts, it recalculated and fired again.
Damage report.
Spukesta, it's eating through payroll. That's it. I'm pulling you out.
No! You will never get another chance at this, Alex.
And she was right. But Alex couldn't risk Dee and the entire company. He began keying in the sequence to abort altogether when Dee got a confirmation beep from her data extraction.
Got it!
She sent Alex the address. Another split second and it had locked on. Dee released Winstead's file behind her, which absorbed 3 of the watchdog's futile shots before exploding on impact with the lead freak. She turned the next corner as the fireball shot past her, tore through the wall, and out into the cyberspace beyond.
Okay, Alex, I have to go dark here.
Having made the uplink with Winstead's computer, she took off her earcom and thus her tracking line from Ollie. She jammed it onto the wall in passing.
No!
Alex yelled, but it was too late. She was right, though. The watchdogs, without the signal, would have a much harder time tracing her. But it was like doing a spacewalk without a tether. Leaving and reestablishing the uplink home would be another trick altogether. With the added power from the computer's freed-up system, Dee jumped way ahead of the remaining watchdogs and in the next instant stood inside the docking bay of Dr. Winstead. Back in the VR room, slightly out of breath, Alex frantically keyed in the address she'd given him. He could still get there on his own if there was enough time. Inside the Generex core at the comm device Dee had abandoned, black ridges sprang up around its circumference, forming a tread. The tiny wheel spun awkwardly until it righted itself, and then zoomed down the wall and off in the direction Dee had gone.